Stolitz, don't act like what we have is anything but you wanting me to f you, okay? You make that really clear all the time, but I can't do it tonight, okay?
Finally! Hi, I'm Kitty Monk. I'm here to talk to you about Helluva Boss, or more specifically, Blitz and Stolas, and their relationship. All ships have names. We call this one Stolitz. Stolitz? Okay, I'm really trying here, guys. The O is silent, mostly because there isn't one. Now, I wanted to cover this one months ago. Like, as far back as Halloween. Every so often, I'll try and write a script, but it never actually goes anywhere. I think Stolitz has beaten out Kikimora and Beatrice Horseman as the hardest video I've ever tried to write. But Helluva Boss has passed the Dagmar threshold, meaning it got more than 50,000 views, so I must now test the algorithm by making another. Alright, let's begin. By this point in my YouTubing career, I'm no stranger to analyzing ships. Usually, when it comes to shipping, I have two big rules. One, it cannot be between relatives, especially blood relatives, you know who you are. And two, it can't be between children and adults. Another rule some of you have said I'd forgotten was toxic relationships, or relationships between two people that would almost certainly be miserable or abusive. I mean, if it wouldn't work in real life, why would it work in a cartoon? However, I've learned that while rules are cool, there is always the exception. Somebody should put that on a pillow. For example, I don't like the idea of shipping relatives, especially with Stolas, but Game of Thrones is a thing. Obviously not Cersei and Jaime or Sansa and Jon, but the occasional Targaryen does have its potential. Meanwhile, I am super against minors and adults, but I did like a Rick Convenient more for how it wrote what was essentially a destructive romance. Stolitz is one of those outliers. It's a toxic, messy, uneven relationship, but it works, and I root for it. So, let's discuss. One of the major subplots of Helluva Boss is the relationship between Stolas and Blitz. Blitz is an imp, whereas Stolas is a member of the prestigious Ars Goetia. In Hell, imps are on the bottom rung of society. Effectively, the equivalent of peasants. Busy Pop even referred to them as Hell's working class. But unlike the majority of his species, Blitz has managed to do the impossible, start a business, and actually manage to keep it open. Said business is IMP, or the Immediate Murder Professionals. Get it? Next week, I should start a business called Kitty, but what service would I provide? Say you die and end up in hell, but you have unfinished business on the surface. You can go to IMP and request that they take care of that problem for you. If you know what I mean, Jellybean.
After lovingly killing my wife, can imagine my surprise when I wound up here. I really wish I could stick it to that yappy jobber who saw me hiding the body.
I wonder if IMP has regulars, because I know a few people. Because of their model, IMP is a mostly illegal business that is somehow allowed commercials, flyers, and billboards.
Now, who's first?
Oh well, at least this proves to clients that they do indeed have balls. In Hell, the only people who are able to go to the human world are those who actually have business there. And even then, they have to don disguises and keep a low profile. That's where Stolas comes in.
If I hadn't slept with that privileged well, none of us would have access to the living world.
As part of his duties, Stolas owns a grimoire.
What did you just call me?
My book, Blitzy.
The grimoire is a mysterious old tome that enables one to create portals and travel around, provided you are able to read the book.
I can't read the spell in this light.
Prior to the start of the show, Blitz broke into Stolas' bedroom to steal it. However, due to having history with him, which I will eventually get to, Stolas thought that Blitz meant to greet him the old-fashioned way.
Stay down, damn it.
Oh, so you like to command? You like being in charge, hmm?
Yeah, I sure do.
Blitz played along and tied him to the bed. Ooh.
Blitzy, oh my, yes!
Meaning to escape after he was subdued. Ooh. But Stolas unintentionally guilt-tripped him, and Blitz, in return, gave him a night of fun that we never actually see. YouTube. The next morning, he tried to sneak out. Sadly, Blitz failed the Barney Stinson School of Subterfuge.
Sorry, I f***ed your husband.
Soon afterwards, Stolas tracked Blitz down, and the two eventually came to an agreement. Blitz can keep the Grimoire and do whatever he wants with it. He can use it to kill clients, learn Latin, even draw little flesh snakes in it. But once a month, on the full moon, he returns the book to Stolas. Stolas does whatever he needs to do with it, and then they spend all night going to Owl City, where the grass is green and the doves are pretty. Then in the morning, Blitz gets the book back for the rest of the month. And that led to the greatest establishment between any two people that isn't marriage related and doesn't tie them down like an albatross around their necks. Playmates. NC-17 Playmates.
But he's not like, you know, we're not doing what's between, it's a transactional thing, you see.
Now let's be honest, on the surface, the arrangement is a little screwed up. Even if ironically, whenever they play Leapfrog, Stolas is on the bottom and Blitz gets to ride him cowboy. The only time he will ever get to fulfill his dream of being a cowboy. And yes, I am trying my hardest to fit as many innuendos into this video as possible. This is a dream come true. I'm sorry, they just come to me. As exciting as their bedroom life is implied to be, Blitz effectively has no choice but to sleep with Stolas. Otherwise, he has no business, as the entire model is focused on going to the surface. Occasionally, Blitz does have a say in things, like in Lululand, where he only agrees to take on the job so long as he and his crew get paid.
We're assassins, not bodyguards, okay? Don't invite us unless someone's gonna die.
I'll pay you
Pay me what?
money.
Done!
But other times, Stolas will hold that book captive, like Rapunzel in a tower. The Harvest Moon Festival even brought this up. Stolas has an engagement on the night of the full moon, headlining the titular festival. So he had to move their lick and stick to a few days earlier. And Blitz brings up this is actually hurting everybody.
When this happens, it's not really something I fuss about, but do you really need the book? I have like 15 new clients waiting for heads to roll.
In order to set the episode's plot in motion, Stolas gets the idea to invite IMP to the festival.
Join me at the festival. I can guarantee you all special access.
It's only a day. What's the worst that can happen? Ugh. Blitz reluctantly agrees to go, but ironically, Stolas doesn't seriously interact with him, and he never even talks to the rest of IMP. Like, yeah, he flirts with Blitz a couple of times, but like, that's it. He isn't like, Blitzy, tiny imps, and Blitzy's daughter, thanks for coming. Or, Blitzy, do you want me to put you up somewhere? Or even, Blitzy, I hope you're having fun. At worst, it's like, Blitzy, I see you. Go easy on that hot dog on a stick, you horn dog. Murder Family also deserves a certain recognition. While Blitz is in the middle of being chased by cannibal mom Marfa, Stolas calls him up to discuss their dealings.
This is a really bad time.
When isn't it a bad time, Blitzy?
Or, I guess since this is a friends with benefits thing, their feelings. Wow, I'm on a roll.
I was thinking, what if we worked out some kind of exchange? Favors for favors. Doesn't that sound enticing?
Wow, you're quite the lover. At least Christian served Anna dinner when they went over the terms and conditions, and he's got worse implications than Stolas. However, this is also where the consent side of things becomes a little iffy. Blitz only actually agrees with Stolas because he's running for his life. He's like, okay, I get it already, hang up.
Sound fair, my little imp?
Fine, whatever.
He might not have even realized what he said yes to until he got home. Imagine he goes back to the office and he gets a voicemail saying, "Oh, Blitzy, we're on for September 10th, right?" Oh, yeah. You might think that Stolas didn't know what was going on. I mean, paths get boring pretty quick. You gotta find some way to entertain yourself, in a way that YouTube censors will allow. But they imply more than once that he's spying on Blitz, maybe even through the book itself.
Favors for favors.
What did you just call me?
This dude has no boundaries. He's like an incomplete hexagon. Then there's Troop Seekers. After IMP gets cornered by dorks, EH is silent, it seems like all hope is lost, and they're getting ready to go out in a blaze of glory. Then they get rescued by a certain somebody, through the magic of Sam Raimi? Okay, I really don't know how to pronounce that guy's last name, but I love his movies.
Stole it. Well, hold on. How did you know that we needed help?
I have my ways, darling.
Okay, I'll be honest, I didn't really like the ending. I love this episode otherwise, but the Deus Ex Machina just took me out of it completely. It felt like a lazy way for them to tie in Blitz's dream. I just wish instead of saying,
I have my ways, darling,
he said something like, the book was threatened, I sensed it, or you did not call me Blitzy, or something like that. But it does lead into one of the funniest Stolas moments.
Are you alright?
Oh, I'm fine, Stolas.
Good. How the f did you get caught by humans?
Besides, they make the point more than once that he doesn't need the book or even IMP to protect him. He's just looking for any excuse to hang out with Blitz. Stolas has the power to make portals, a skill he uses more than once, including in front of Blitz.
Now, let us all return.
Yes, please.
Not to mention, there's a great possibility he pretty much has that book memorized. I mean, he has spent 25 years studying it after all. Well, I wonder how he would fare against the handbook for the recently deceased. And then there's Lululand, where he hires IMP to act as bodyguards, while he and Octavia spend the day at the titular theme park. At first, it seems like an overreaction.
I'll arrange our security.
Security for a theme park?
We're rich and we're hot.
Until he actually starts to get accosted by cutthroats and assassins. It is kind of funny how he treats it like a minor nuisance at first.
I think I'm supposed to be bodyguarded right now.
Then we get this last scene. He can't protect himself. He doesn't need IMP there. He was just trying to live out his pervy fan fiction. I think the only time he's ever actually needed them there was the Harvest Moon Festival. Then there's the fact they're both highly mismatched in terms of ranking. Their height differences, that is plain ironic. Like I said above, Stolas is the head of a noble family, and Blitz is a penniless imp. Stolas can have him committed like that, and nobody would miss him. One reason they imply imps are the lowest of the low is they don't have any actual powers. I mean, except fire immunity.
Yeah, that's not exactly how it works, ladies. Sorry, your fire doesn't really hurt us, but I mean, I could fake it if that'll get your hard.
Ow.
And they seem to be a little more impervious to bodily harm. That's about it. They can still be killed, and they don't have the means to defend themselves, outside of weapons. Stolas, think of everything I just said. And to top it off, as a Goetia demon, he can only be killed by heavenly weapons. Another major problem, probably the biggest, is how they treat each other. Or rather, how Stolas treats Blitz. The circus reveals that Stolas was never allowed to be in a loving relationship. He married his wife Stella for the express purpose of making a precautionary heir. His bedroom life was awful, with Stella bemoaning how he's as limp as a fish.
Stolas is terrible in bed. I swear to he just lays there staring at the wall and I have to do everything. It's embarrassing.
I didn't realize this until a few people commented on my Stella video, but that doesn't seem good. Duty or not, to have an heir, did Stella... Oh, cried. That puts things in a new light. As a result, he tends to view Blitz as all his wants and desires and dreams handed to him on a silver platter. Only Stolas has no idea how to treat people who aren't of his rank, and he has a tendency to prioritize his selfish desires over others. So altogether, this complicates things. He often babies Blitz, patronizing him and calling him demeaning pet names, like Blitzy.
Oh, my, what good aim you have, Blitzy.
Actually, it turns out Blitzy isn't a standard nickname, like Peggy is for Margaret or Luke is for Lucas. It's not even something like baby or dear. It's his version of calling him daddy.
Oh, stop it.
Yes, if that's what Blitzy wants.
Like, no wonder Blitz wants him to stop. There's also their flirting. I'm guessing because Stolas has no clue how such relationships work, he has no springboard other than Blitz. So he's just saying what he thinks you're meant to say.
If you try to my little ass in that park, I swear to
You are so cute when you are serious.
Which would be more than enough for a nun to turn scarlet, but enough for a kitty monk to die of laughter. And outside of family drama, that pretty much sums up Lululand. In fact, besides a single gag in Spring Broken, Stolas is the only character to get his dialogue bleeped.
I'm calling the only man who can me.
What?
Who can protect me?
As a result, Blitz tends to keep his interactions with Stolas to a minimum. Unless it concerns bedroom underwear tag, he will generally try to avoid him. Now, on paper, Stolitz Stolas. Okay, I'm never gonna get this right, okay? Seems like it's doomed to fail. However, I still root for them. Don't click on the dislike button yet. Actually, that helps the algorithm, so you can do what you want, but don't stop watching. Okay, I will admit that yes, Stolitz is toxic and mismatched, but it works. Exposition aside, both characters are fantastic and hilarious. For example, Stolitz never comes off as malicious. He's just an immature dude who doesn't know how to communicate. He's like a teenage girl with her first boyfriend, and their anniversary is October 3rd. Blitz, on the other hand, doesn't know how to love himself, let alone other people, leaving a trail of heartbreak in his wake. So better to keep your distance like they're rabid lepers. In my opinion, one way an exception can happen is if it makes sense within the world of that work. That's why I liked more Tina, and I know I probably should have come up with a better nickname. Don't get me wrong, it's weird, and maybe it's hypocritical of me to like that while having problems with Markapoo, but a reason why it works is the show openly acknowledges it's weird and not going to work out, not just because of the age gap, but because Morty is too blind to see her flaws. Meanwhile, this is a show where Morty endangered the world just to play with a horse breeding machine, and Rick calls him out as a creep more than once. I could buy him looking at Planet Tina for reasons other than age, and then hand-waving it as, oh gee, she's ageless. I guess another criteria is if the writing is strong enough. Sometimes you can look past what might be disastrous in real life. The whole point of Hello Boss is these two people, screwed up as they are just trying to love one another and live their lives. They just can't get out of their own way to have the relationship they both want. You might say this applies to Stolas, but it's equally important for Blitz. Prior to forming IMP, Blitz was a circus brat who couldn't perform and went by the name Lizzo. Kinda rolls off the tongue better. As an adult, he tried to make it on his own, but he didn't have the talent for it, so he left everything behind and became an assassin. He's estranged from his family for reasons we don't totally know yet, although they suggest something might have happened to his mama. After he severed ties with his past, he changed the pronunciation of his name to Blitz.
It's Blitz.
Oh, didn't it have an O at the end, like a clown name?
Yeah, well, it's silent now, okay? So call me Blitz.
Wow, Blitz is basically Rick if he wasn't a genius. It's cute, I guess. I could see Blitz banging a planet. In Lululand, Blitz meets up with RoboFizz, an old co-worker. Unlike Blitz, Fizz was able to make it in his market, entertaining and mentally scarring children, and afterwards going backstage and pleasuring their parents. Ew. And he was able to do that despite being a robotic replica of Fizzarolli, an entertainer, and the right-hand man, Bosmodius, the king of lust. Blitz even calls him out for it.
I make more money killing people than you do being a cheap robo ripoff of an overrated sellout jester!
Which leads into a fight, which destroys all of Lululand, and ends with RoboFizz getting eaten by an animatronic T-Rex. Okay, to be fair, Lululand is still my favorite episode, but I wish they somehow found a way to include the fight scene. It just felt weirdly anticlimactic. But that's a discussion for another day because I eventually want to make a Fizzarolli video. Blitz and Fizzarolli, per the circus, were childhood friends, and maybe even eventually boyfriends. But anything Blitz could do, Fizzarolli could do 10 trillion times better. Then there's Spring Broken, aka our first Stolas is Absent episode. Blitz meets up with his ex-girlfriend, Verosika Mayday, who I'd argue in many ways is female Stolas. Verosika is a pop singer, although they make it ambiguous when exactly they dated. On the offset, Verosika seemed like a B-word and a half, stealing Blitz's parking spot and threatening him with her new hellhound, Vortex. However, there's something important. Verosika brings up the reason she and Blitz broke up.
You gonna run off, leaving someone else to pay for the hotel room, steal their car, and run 3 rings to rap and max my credit cards on horse riding lessons?
You might be tempted to say, come on, Blitz did it because she was a stupid spoiled W word. But then we get Verosika's side of things. In the sack, she made Blitz happy in all sorts of ways, but he never returned the favor. Rude. Plus, she has that tattoo of Blitzo with a heart over it, crossed out. She loved him so much, she did that. And she only reveals it when she's alone with her posse. Every other time, she covers it with something, like a shawl or a long sleeve. Later on, Blitz even looks at a photo of him and Verosika when they were dating, and there seems to be zero animosity. Now, don't get me wrong, Verosika isn't a good person. Her and her crew assaulted Moxie simply because he worked for Blitz. Stolitz, and Moxie was trying his hardest to be civil with her, and she stole Blitz's parking spot even before she knew he was her ex-boyfriend. But she honestly loved Blitz, and what did he do in response? Take her heart, put it into liquid nitrogen, and then shatter it with a hammer and all the force of 4. Why is that? Was it because he dated Verosika and she got famous and he didn't, so he felt insecure? Or was it because, as a succubus, she had the ability to travel to the human world? Blitz is somebody who desperately wants to be loved, but at the same time, he's desperately insecure. He can't stand people he thinks are better than him, especially when they are creatives themselves. I go with, he did at first love Verosika, but she got to be successful. Well, he was lucky to even make one person laugh, but why didn't he break up with her sooner? Well, she was a succubus, meaning she would almost certainly be allowed to leave hell whenever she wanted. And she did, to the point of having a successful career in not 1 dimension, but 2. Maybe this is how he knew what to do to Stolas, and why he went to him when he did. He needed a new sugar boob to suckle. Finally, there's the Harvest Moon Festival, which introduces us to Striker.
Well, howdy.
Striker is allegedly Millie's family's new ranch hand. Striker's even proud that Blitz was able to go freelance, and he did it by seducing a blue blood.
You even conned that ditzy blue blood into getting you to the surface?
Well, it's long and complicated, but the short answer is yes.
Meanwhile, Blitz loves Striker's horse, and eventually, he's impressed enough to offer him a job at IMP. Then it turns out Striker was at the festival because somebody, Stella, hired him to kill Stolas. Blitz is ready to splatter his brains on the wall, but Striker comes prepared with the power of weaponized insecurity.
You know, the two of us are superior than most of our kind. We work for bitter sinners who could care less who you are, when you could be slaying overlords.
True, running a business is fun, but he's still working for people who see him as nothing more than an imp who can hold a gun, and not just Stolas, but their entire client base. On the bright side, unlike those sinners, he can actually explore hell if he wants, and he doesn't have to worry about getting purged once a year. It all ends with him pinning Blitz to the wall.
Oh, that's kinda hot.
Don't give the shippers any ideas. Striker ups the ante by offering to leave the ranch and take Blitz with him.
Why struggle to run a business when you could partner up with me and kill the unkillable? Starting with the one that treats you like a plaything.
The streets will flow with the blood of the overlords.
We could be the most dangerous beings in hell, Blitz.
And nothing will be left behind but a trail of blood and guts. Now at this point in the series, Blitz still thinks of Stolas as a work friend at best. So you can make the argument he might have started to develop feelings for Striker, because to some degree, everything Striker said was true. Even if he loves Stolas, Stolas has given him no reason to think the feeling is mutual. The wall scene only solidified it. Striker gave him respect, and the two were like-minded individuals. But like usual, he likes somebody, and then he gets hurt. Then again, there's no guarantee Striker was being honest about the offer. He might have only said that because he was caught red-handed. Even if he was telling the truth, who's to say he wouldn't just kill Blitz the first chance he got? It's bound to make you wonder. This leads into the episode Truth Seekers. While under the effect of a truth serum, Blitz sees visions of people he knows, all of whom tell him he's a broken man who wants to be loved, but doesn't feel worthy of it and will die alone. That's effing dark. Maybe Blitz is more like Bojack than Rick. What's up with this sudden string of dark videos? Outside of Moxie, everybody there is somebody Blitz has apparently had a romantic connection to, or hurt, or both. Raleigh calls him out for not making it on his own, needing people like Moxie and Millie to keep him on the straight and narrow. Verosika bemoans him for pushing her away, and Striker taunts him for wanting company, though not in that order. Then he gets to Stolas. Unlike everybody else who rises from mud, Stolas is depicted as a clean, angelic being, with a throne on top of a grand staircase. Kind of ironic. He's even fanned by 2 silhouettes of Blitz. When Blitz sees him, suddenly he's clean, but at the cost of being chained hand, foot, and neck, like a slave. A question people tend to ask is, while it's obvious Stolas loves Blitz, is the feeling mutual? And in light of this episode, my answer is, it's complicated. On the one hand, I do go with yes, he does. But on the other, I believe that all things considered, he feels trapped. Which is why when Stolas rescues IMP, Blitz isn't actually acting on his feelings. He's simply doing his job.
Am I going to get any thank you for the rescue, Blitzy?
Well, I suppose you should. Want me to brains out tonight?
Very much so.
All right, but you're keeping quiet or I'm using those bear traps.
The vision affirmed it for him, especially considering how Stolas openly said, I only rescued you because if you get in trouble, I get in trouble. The bridal carry, Stolas' way of saying, I did you a favor and now I want you to be more forward. What should have been a big grand moment, the first Stolas kiss, is instead the equivalent of a star employee proving to his boss he's the best by cleaning a toilet. This might have been a super long tangent, but the point is, unlike Stolas, Blitz has tried to love other people, and it always ends in failure. Usually, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Stolas wants Blitz, but Blitz won't let him in, and Stolas gives him no reason to think he should be allowed in. And since we're talking about the show's way of humanizing Blitz, we should talk about the show's attempts to humanize Stolas. Backstories, why they don't redeem a character, he and Act is a great way to explain their actions, and humanize them, and Stolas is the same way. Another wrinkle with them is not only is their relationship kind of illegal, but it's also kind of immoral. As it turns out, Stolas has a family, his wife Stella and his daughter Octavia. I talk about it enough, but in short, Stella resents Stolas for sticking his spoon in an empty pot, and Octavia doesn't like how Stolas' cheating ruined her home life, and she fears that he might leave in the middle of the night and she might never find him. Now this would be enough for many people to hate Stolas. Something I will give Octavia is it's bad news to bring who she believes to be the homewrecker on a day trip, especially to somewhere she didn't even want to go. And he doesn't even try to explain it to her. Blitz happens to be there and Stolas 100% expects them to get along. It's no wonder Octavia runs screaming for the hills. We learn more about Stolas' past in the episode The Circus, which also establishes how he and Blitz met. On his something birthday, I don't think they ever say it, but I guess it's 10th, Stolas was told by his father, Payman, that he had to start contributing to the family, child labor. And as part of that, he got engaged to Stella.
Son, you are destined to sire a precautionary addition to the Goetia family. Oh, that's an ugly noise, son.
To cheer him up, Payman got a servant to take him to the circus, while Payman watched over FaceTime. What, did you really expect Payman to consort with lowlives? There, Stolas saw Blitz perform, and with their father's permission, the two had a fun playdate. Now, the circus has gotten some flack from fans for apparently retconning their backstory. Blitz and Stolas were childhood friends? Who wrote this fanfic? But I'd argue it makes too much sense. One of the biggest points about Stolas is that he tends to romanticize events as bigger than they were. He sees his relationship with Blitz as a pair of star-crossed lovers, not something purely physical. He thinks Octavia loves watching RoboFizz so much she cries tears of joy when she sees his show. Considering how alone he was as a child, I'd imagine Stolas had zero friends beyond servants. Payman even said he only sent Stolas to the circus to distract him.
Oh, would you like it if I took you to the circus in town? Children enjoy the circus, right? Would that distract you enough from your non-negotiable future marriage?
So Stolas, unintentionally taking his dad's advice, held on to the memory of what was likely one day of fun. The fact he wouldn't see this kid for 25 years was irrelevant. All of this leads up to the episode, Ozzie's. One night, Blitz tries to follow Moxie and Millie to their anniversary dinner at, you guessed it, Ozzie's, a restaurant in the Lust Ring. Thankfully, the bouncer doesn't let him in because Ozzie's is a couples club. Rather than go home, he calls up Stolas, who was stuck on the couch watching soap operas, and asks him to go out on the town. Not because he wants to take their relationship to the next level, but because he just needs an excuse to get in.
Are you asking me on a date, Blitzy?
Oh, it hurts. And it hurts more that Stolas actually dressed up for the occasion.
Blitzy! I'm here.
Wow.
Is it bad I would probably do the same, like in terms of dress? Plus, during that soap opera, he saw this actress with a skunk stripe in her hair, and he did one himself! I'm somebody who takes fashion inspiration from characters I admire, so that hurts on a personal level. For disturbing a date, Blitz gets karma. Asmodeus and Fizzarolli are there.
Did he just say Osmodeus?
Oh no, way. Not him.
I can understand Blitz's frustration. I mean, Fizzarali did try to kidnap a grieving teenager and marry her for a green card thing. No wonder he's trapped in hell. At the club, Blitz tries to defend Moxie when Moxie goes on stage to sing, and Fizz and Ozzie heckle him. To be fair, Ozzie said that he did enjoy the song, but the club was about hardcore mattress shaking, not intimacy. Both gave him the chance to rewrite it and even offered suggestions. They were just really freaking rude about it. But this gave Blitz away and led to a I hate Blitz free-for-all. And it also alerted Ozzie to Stolas' presence. Ozzie proceeded to call Stolas out for sleeping around when he already had a family, or as he put it, selling his life for a thrust. What's interesting is Ozzie and Fizz seem to be Stolas and Blitz if they actually got past their issues. Unlike Stolas, Ozzie has more of a role to fulfill. Being the king of lust, he can't publicly have a relationship, especially with an imp. However, he can be up close with Fizz, considering how Fizz is the MC for a club built around depravity. Stolas tried the bodyguard thing, but all it did was irritate Blitz, and nearly cost him his relationship with his daughter. Familiar relationship. Honestly, I should discuss this next. It's also cool to note how, while he calls Stolas out for being with Blitz, he never mocks him for sleeping with an imp, the same way Stryker and Wally did. If anything, he was kinda happy. I can't wait for this season to progress because I really want to make a Phasmodius video. And who knows, maybe he didn't know Stolas' home life was that bad. Stella only said those things in front of her friends. I like to think she plays the role of daughter-in-law of the year in front of Payman. Instead of defending Blitz, Stolas buries his face in a menu. Granted, he likely did it because Ozzie's rank superseded Stolas, so he could have gotten in trouble for backtalk. But to Blitz, it's all he needs to know.
You know what? This was a mistake. Let's just leave.
Oh, right.
The two leave, and Blitz does the polite thing and drops Stolas off at home.
Thank you. Despite everything that's happened, I enjoyed spending time with you.
Yeah.
Stolas invites him inside, but Blitz takes it as a sign that Stolas wants a happy ending and puts his foot down, for once in their relationship establishing boundaries.
We could.
I'm not you tonight, okay? I'm really not in the mood, Stolas.
Perhaps because of everything he witnessed, Stolas thinks Blitz just wants a lover, not a warm body. He even says they could do stuff other than XCX. Blitz's response,
I can't do it tonight, okay? I'm sorry.
He reminds Stolas of their roles. They're playmates. Nothing more, nothing less. He did his job tonight, that's all. Call him up when the full moon rolls around and he wants it hot, but until then, sayonara. Stolas takes the hint.
Good night, Blitz.
Night.
He's trying to take the first steps, but it's too little too late. Several hours later, Stolas goes to sleep crying, and Rusong realizes the truth about his relationship. It was a comfortable lie on both ends. Stolas because it got him through the day and provided him a reprieve from Stella's abuse. Blitz because it put food on the table. After Stella insults him once again, Stolas decides that he's been through too much to keep living in a miserable marriage, and divorces Stella.
I want you out.
What do you mean, out?
Out of this palace, out of my life. We are getting the divorce.
Good for you. Rick and Morty showed us why you shouldn't stay together for the kids. What I liked is he doesn't do this as a big grand gesture for Blitz, nor does he do it because he wants to run away to Reno, but because he did his duty. He tried to make the best of it and it failed. And he doesn't care what Stella thinks or what his family will think.
I don't care what your arrogant brother thinks. And the only thing the Goetia family wanted from our marriage is already 17, so it's over. I'm done.
You go, Stolas. But who knows about him and Blitz? They have to interact sometime, and Stolas does need that book back. Will they pick up where they left off?
Stay tuned.
And so far, that's Stolas. I know it's unhealthy and toxic, but I like it. It's an exception that works, and it's great writing-wise. True, I don't want them to get together now, but I have a funny feeling that Season 2 will surprise us.
Eat this. And then you know that bridge over the freeway?
Yeah?
Off it.
Also, if you wanted a subscriber special, don't worry, it's coming. It's just been harder to write than I anticipated. Expected probably next week.